Hello.
That was good.
Welcome to the Vergecast.
6 out of 10.
6. It's a 6.
The 6.
I have a
Your
story about
intro
that.
is a 6.
I'm Nilay Patel. This is the Vergecast.
I'm in Nilay Patel's seat.
Yeah, you are also Nilay Patel. Who are you?
I'm TC Sadek, former
Get out.
something.
Get out.
This is a Nilay Patel only room, sir.
Yes. Well, this is Ross Miller.
I am Ross
That's
Miller.
TC Sadek. I did think your name was pronounced Sotak for about 6 months.
Yeah, people have been calling me that.
You were
should change
hired
it.
because it was so tech.
Yeah.
Sotak.
That's why we hired you.
I'll just
That's why
change
I
it.
hired him.
So as you may have noticed, Josh Topolsky is not here. I don't know what he's doing. I think he's road tripping, or just tripping, or robo tripping.
Adderall tripping.
Actually, it's not so far off. No, Josh is out. He's taking some much deserved time to go party, or relax, or sleep party, whatever he does. So we're doing the Vergecast. Got Ross, got TC. It's going to be awesome. Ross is filling in my role, so you have to be super annoying, and I won't pay attention to you.
Patents, law, legal system, net
What?
neutrality.
Let's take some calls. Okay. And that was the Vergecast.
All right, thank you, everybody. We were
So
whatever.
if you don't know, this is the Vergecast. I'm trying to remember all the stuff Josh does because I usually am not paying attention during this part. I've heard it for like 5 years.
Just start beefing.
So if you don't know, this is the Vergecast, where we discuss the week in technology news, in culture news, apparently in financial news this week, according to Ross's chart of stories.
I'm sorry, we have nothing but earnings on this topic list.
And TC is drinking at noon.
It's my day off, man.
It's
technically.
true. If you guys don't know, TC runs the site on the weekends for us. So Friday is technically his day off. But he was here yesterday to hang out and do 90 seconds and come to the on the Verge.
Yeah, it was fun.
So we're making him work. And in retaliation, he's getting hammered.
That's right. Get ready.
I'm not so opposed to a noon beer on a Friday myself. Is Michael Shane here?
Michael Shane is not here. Without Josh,
What
there
is
is no
this?
Michael.
If you guys don't know, Nilay has literally an army of interns that their only job is to get him Maker's Mark.
Yeah. Actually, I wasn't allowed. This is a ridiculous story. Anyway, let's talk about tech news.
Let's talk about tech
There's
news.
so many tangential stories I could tell about Maker's Mark, referring to things as a 6.
And to do that would be Vergecast Classic.
It would, but let's try.
Let's start with Google Fiber.
Google Fiber.
Google Fiber.
Go. Begin.
We're off
This
to a
is your
great
job.
start.
The person in this
is what you
chair-
actually do is like
Yeah.
talk about this because I've been in this seat my whole time. And,
Yeah. No, this is
I
how
just
it works.
don't do anything.
This seat says the story.
It's a seat of power.
The Nilay seat says the story. The Josh seat reacts to the story, and the Ross/Paul seat
I do color
reacts.
commentary.
Miller seat.
Yeah, you tell jokes.
Yeah.
Or Paul just talks about like Christian Scott.
I think we might have to switch seats.
I'm like Dennis
before this is
Miller.
over.
Yeah, no, this is you, Ross. Go.
Actually, well, TC actually want TC to do this because he did it yesterday at 90 seconds. You summed up Google Fiber really quickly, so let's
Yeah.
break it down.
What is anarchy?
I'm
ahead.
changing the rules, man.
Fine, man.
The long and short of it is that Google just made every ISP in the country look like they're not doing their job.
Is that their goal? So here's what we actually asked this. So Dieter Bohn went to Kansas City. They launched Google Fiber in Kansas City, both Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. In a touching gesture, they had both mayors on stage, which I thought was the best part of the
All
entire.
three.
And only
announcement.
one has good penmanship. The other
Yeah.
one just really
And then like
weird
the mayor
chalk.
of like the town next to it, like Branson, Kansas, that city in Kansas.
Branson,
he just stayed at home
Kansas.
and cried. Like he was sad.
And the new mayor, Eric Schmidt.
Yeah, exactly. And the mayor of Kansas City, Missouri, was murdered and replaced by Eric Schmidt.
Kansas City, my three mayors.
So,
It's
so
a sitcom.
Dieter went, and before he went, like we do, he's like, I'm going to cover the story. Are there any outstanding questions I should think of? Anything? And my biggest question was, what is Google's plan? Right? Is their plan just to make Comcast feel bad about itself? And it seems like that's the plan, actually. Like, because the internet service is 1,000 up, 1,000 down, which is bonkers. It's pretty cheap. It's like $70 a month. You've got to pay $300 to get it installed, but
Which is waived if you get a 2-year commitment.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they've
It's
learned
pretty much nothing.
right, because nobody's gonna be like, I only want a year of super
Exactly.
fast internet.
Or
I want to pay
if-
more for 20 times slower internet from Time Warner.
But at the same time, too, if you just get the installation just done, it's free internet. It's
Yeah.
5 down, 1 up. Not great, but it's free.
Right, and then the way they're building it is they're doing these rallies, and I think the rallies.
The fiber hoods.
The fiber. I mean, that sounds to me like Google also wants to see what it's like when a city tries to tear itself apart. So the way it works is they've plotted out these different neighborhoods that they can put the fiber in.
Are they at all
and
related
you've got
to
to
congressional
rally
districts?
your neighborhood so everybody signs up, and if you have the most signups, you get it first.
Question: is it possible to have fiber hood gerrymandering?
I would hold my neighbors at gunpoint to make them sign up for this. If I was in Kansas City, I would literally be crawling, like walking the streets at night with a gun.
Well, to be fair, $1,000 out of your pocket is 100
Not
neighbors.
a gun. I'm not a good shot, so I wouldn't. I mean, I enjoy firing a gun, but I'm like terrible at it. So
this is just
maybe I would just have a really loud like horn. Look, so that's how they're building it out.
That's an interesting strategy. I mean, it's probably a good one considering the fact that Time Warner and Comcast, AT&T, all the major ISPs in the country pretty much dominate all the like local chambers of commerce and politics and everything, and they've.
I think so.
Google's
TC
now.
and I, if you don't know this, every day TC and I have like a little conversation about how telecom companies have like taken over all of American politics, and it's our goal to expose it.
Yeah, I was just looking today. AT&T is like, as we were talking before the show, could someone like Apple buy AT&T with all their cash on hand? Because Apple has what, 100 billion plus?
Yeah.
Well, AT&T makes more than that every year in revenue, so they'd be at least what, 500 billion to buy out.
Yeah.
Plus all their $3 trillion in assets.
You just multiply it by 5.
Yeah.
I mean, that's is the standard financial math.
Everyone knows that.
No one can, unless an oil company wants to buy a telecom.
Apple should
there's
buy
no
an
way.
oil company. Let's go back to, wouldn't that be like Exxon sponsored by Apple, and it was just like the ads would just be like a white background with like gushing oil.
It's the white black silhouette. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
To your point, Time Warner Cable.
Pollutionary.
Pollution.
Never mind. I quit.
This is the pollutionist Exxon yet.
Goodbye. Go ahead.
So, actually, to your point, Time Warner Cable, this is an interesting story, not this week, but last week, maybe 2 weeks ago. Time Warner Cable was actually paying Kansas City employees to snoop on Google. Like, they were feeling the burn. Did you see this?
No, that's bonkers.
I was looking up for a research the other day. Yeah, it's like this poster that says, attention employees share tips, rumors, and rumblings about Google construction for $50 gift cards.
That's amazing.
Like, clearly they're feeling the burn.
And the best part is that the Time Warner Cable logo is basically a giant Eye of Sauron. It's looking over everything that happens.
So that's the broadband. But here's the thing that I think is interesting. That's the broadband piece of it, right? And that's awesome. And then there's this cable TV piece, which to me is super boring. And it's like, okay, you've given people really fast broadband, and they're giving you and the way they're going to distribute it in the home if you get TV is really interesting. They're giving you most people's routers can't handle 1,000 up, 1,000 down. So they're going to give you. There's a router called the network box, and it has Wi-Fi. It has Ethernet jacks. It's your router.
Super ugly because all cable boxes by
But
requirement.
that's not the cable box, right? So it is and it isn't.
Right.
Let me get through this. So there's the network box, which has that stuff. Then there are little boxes that you put at each of your televisions that turn your TVs that are themselves Wi-Fi access points.
Right.
Which is like. That's such a Google problem to have. Like, oh my God, my giant billionaire's mansion needs more Wi-Fi access points. But anyway, so that's a cool idea. They all interlink to the network box, which when you buy the TV service can serve as a DVR, can record up to 8 shows at once, and store them on a 2 terabyte storage box, which is separate. That all is a little clunky, but I get it because they're selling both TV and internet, so you have to split up the devices.
Right.
But it's like the internet stuff is, and you get a terabyte of Google Drive. Which at 1,000 up, 1,000 down is kind of like local storage, which is cool.
Yeah.
But it's like the internet stuff is so interesting just because of how fast it is. And then the TV stuff is so boring. Except for you get 8 channels, a slightly better interface, or 8 tuners, a slightly better interface, and they're giving you a Nexus 7 user as a remote. But the pricing for the TV and the bundles and all that stuff is cable TV. And they don't have Disney shows. They don't have Time Warner shows, I don't think. They did get Viacom to sign up, which is pretty hilarious.
I thought it was pretty awesome.
Because they are constantly in lawsuits against Viacom. But so they don't have CNN. They don't have like the Disney Channel.
They don't have ESPN.
They don't.
Which
That's
is the worst
Disney,
one.
It's
Yeah. AMC.
well, no,
also.
it's great. Kansas City, you should watch SB Nation on YouTube, a Google service. I'm just pimping for our company, man.
Live TV. Yeah. Anyway.
I'm doing what I can.
job. It's good. No,
I get a bonus now.
Do you?
Yeah, I think.
Can I get a bonus?
10 shekels.
Jim, can I call? Anyway, continue.
Yeah, but also AMC is also not a part of this. So again, no one gets Breaking Bad in Kansas City.
Yeah, you can get that on Netflix. Whatever. It's
Get
fine.
Netflix.
1,000 down. Stream it. Stream all the episodes. Didn't you watch all of Breaking Bad? Would that just be too horrible to like watch all the episodes of Breaking Bad?
I
at once?
watched.
That's the only way I watch TV.
Yeah,
Just
I'll
watch
say.
everything in a binge in like a weekend.
I think I did
Nonstop.
10.
No, I do that, but that's linear. I'm saying you get 8 TVs and you watch 8 episodes of Breaking Bad at once.
I might want to kill myself after that. And I love Breaking Bad, but
Yeah.
I get so depressed after watching just one episode.
Yeah.
To watch 8 at the same time.
I mean, I really think like the writers of that
Gushing.
show sit around and be like, that character, people like him. Let's kill him.
Killing would be easy.
I also feel
let's
that way
turn
about
him
Game of
evil.
Thrones. I feel like, and I'm not to spoil anything about Game of Thrones.
I've
but,
never seen one episode of Game of Thrones.
But Game of Thrones is literally, there's never any payoff in that show. It's like they build and they build and they build. They're like, they build this fantastic machine.
There is nothing
and they're
but,
like,
hey.
And finally, at the moment when they're going to switch on the machine, you're like, finally, months of setup for this machine to. They're like, oh, and we killed the guy. And it happens over and over and over again.
But there's a lot of sex and weird monologues during sex, between sex, after sex.
Yeah.
It's my kind of weird.
It is.
Finally. And then they kill the guy. Okay, so, I mean, that's Google Fiber. Anything else we need to know about Google Fiber? I mean, I feel like
I feel like with the channel issue, Google might have more leverage if they expand beyond Kansas City.
But that's,
all-
I mean, how do they do it? I think that's the real question, and they're kind of not answering that question.
Well, it seems like they're building a citizen army to demand Google Fiber in their neighborhoods.
But at the same time, like it's a very long-term thing for them because they can't be making that much money off of this, and they're dipping their toes in so many industries that they're having to learn. Like, are they really going to become a cable company in the long term, or are they just kind of dicking around?
Well, right, and then there's also, and not the I can turn anything into a net neutrality conversation, but like,
There we go.
But no, I mean they're doing this weird thing where they're a content provider, they're a technology company, and now they own the pipe, and they're promising no overages, no caps. I mean, again, it's like, this only works if Google shows up in every city in America, which is prohibitively expensive even for Google.
Right.
And they say, and basically they make Comcast feel bad about itself and Time Warner feel bad about itself for not providing comparable service. And it's like, who was never able to do that? Verizon. Verizon offered, 5 years ago, Fios, which hasn't been developed, but that's what Fios is. It always has been faster than cable internet with, much fewer
Some
restrictions.
exceptions, like my apartment.
Do you have Fios?
I have
slow?
Fios. So I think I
it's like a
literally
tin
have the
can
only
with a string.
building in Baltimore that has Fios.
And it sucks?
Yeah. it's
Why does
terrible.
it?
Because they run it through. It's not fiber. The last mile, I don't think
Yeah.
they run it through a third party.
So it's,
And I found out the hard way after they installed.
so it's actually like a DSL line?
Yeah.
They just
It's-
brand
Oh man,
Fios?
that
Yeah.
sucks.
That's awful. I'm sorry for you, man. Just keep drinking.
I'm going to.
Well, I mean, I just feel like does Google want to build internet everywhere? Are they going to go after? Are they going to have a next city? Are they going to?
Is this
Are
the
they
same?
going to succumb to the same temptation as every other provider and prioritize Google Play? I mean, like, there's a lot of stuff you can do. At the moment, what's weird is that they're not integrating anything. So Google Play isn't integrated into the TV offerings and the on-demand offerings. Google TV isn't the TV, which is
No.
the most insane thing.
It's another platform to go with TV and Q and Chromebox. And
They
all
own
that.
Motorola, but as far as I know, Motorola didn't make the cable boxes.
Nope.
I mean, there's just like, you have to imagine at Google, people just walk around. They're like, what I want to do is build fiber in Kansas City. And someone's like, you do that. Don't talk to
Dude.
anybody else about it, though. Just
It's like,
keep it a
hey,
secret.
remember when we spent billions trying to get that spectrum? Fuck it, man. Let's get cables now.
Wow, F-bomb.
We're not allowed to on here?
I don't know.
You're literally our boss. You just tell
Yeah, I
us
mean,
whether-
if you don't know, I mean,
I usually sit in that chair. That's the freedom chair.
F for freedom.
Yes. The freedom chair. Actually, I think your chair is the freedom chair.
Yeah.
I mean, the Paul Miller chair is literally like, I don't know what's going on.
But Paul Miller is too polite to.
That's why he gets the
Drop
freedom chair.
F-bombs.
With great power, PC. He gets freedom bombs. What the freedom? Anything else with Google Fiber? Anything we're missing? Is the chat room exploding with stuff that we've left out?
You've been chat room
I'm
watching.
super interested in it, and I hope Google brings it across the country because
I mean, but also it could be just like Google saying like, okay, these speeds are possible.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't this public? Like,
Are they going to... I think the big question is Google making money on this? Right?
I don't think they can be.
I don't know if they need to. This might be a strategy that has nothing to do with
They just
actually
want,
providing
to like
service.
completely...
Well, if they want net neutrality, like if you look back at all the lobbying money that AT&T and the other big telecoms have put into Washington, it's billions of dollars
Yeah.
over that. And Google might figure, well, let's build our own network, and then we don't have to lobby to get these guys to manage their own
so their
networks
own
the way
separate...
we want to.
Their own... Well,
Right.
what's funny is they should just buy Sprint. Can you imagine if they just bought Sprint and they were like, we're running our own carrier? I mean, at this point, why
I'm
not?
okay with that if they keep Dan Hesse because he's just a handsome guy.
Wouldn't it be crazy if Google bought Motorola and then they bought Sprint and then they like just created their own and then like they completely sealed off Kansas City and it was just like you could enter like the Google Dome.
You know, I have
and
to-
everything was perfect. but everything you did would be tracked.
It'll be like that big glass dome in Battlefield Earth.
Yeah, no, it'd be great. It'd be like the ultimate
Right. But I mean, let's talk.
in
Let's,
fascist states,
but
I suppose.
it's funny because Google has its hands everywhere, and like it does have a TV station now, and it has Google TV, and it has Chromebox, and it has
Wait,
Q,
what's its TV station?
or it's the fiber TV or whatever it is.
Oh, I thought
TV
they own like a local TV station.
I would
in
not be
Kansas
surprised.
City too.
Like it's like all these groups are not working together. There's no
Do
unification.
you think Marissa Meyer quit because they were going to make her do the weather? That would be amazing if Sergey and Larry were like the anchors. He's like, today's top story, I'm still wearing weird shoes.
Take it away. I'm coming to you live from my Google Glass handset. I am looking at Marissa Meyer. Eyes up. Yes, we're doing this right.
Wow.
Weather.
Wow.
Hey.
Got weird again. Go ahead, TC.
He would do.
Say
Larry
something
Page
smart
would
about
do
policy.
that, or no, Sergey Brin would do that just for the opportunity.
Is this
to
what
jump
it's
out of a
like to have
blimp.
Creighton tell you that you let's move on? Creighton's doing this to me. You know, if I was really Josh, I would just ignore you. I just want you to know. I wouldn't wrap this up. I'd be like, let's take some calls. All right, let's move on.
Let's move on.
take some calls.
You want to take calls?
Are we taking calls?
About what?
If you want to
Is
be
there
verbally
anybody in
harassed.
Kansas City? I will take a call from somebody who is actually in Kansas City. If if such persons are available.
Hi, Kansas City. You're on the Bone Zone. Let's.
All right, let's move on while we wait for calls to come in. What's
Okay,
next?
let's talk about OS 10 10.8 Mountain Lion because that's not confusing to
Those
say.
names are not getting unwieldy at all.
Nope.
Yeah, it's great. It came out this week. I did a review. And so what's actually interesting about our review is we were given a review unit, Retina Display MacBook Pro from Apple
Right.
with Mountain Lion on it that had some features, one specific feature that isn't on the release, which is Facebook integration. So we wrote about it. And then people are like, you are lying. This isn't completely, and I'm like, we have pictures of the Facebook button
Right.
on there. And I'm getting angry emails from people who are like, you're lying, Apple lied. They pulled it at the last minute. They hate Facebook. And I'm like, just read the review. It's coming out. It's coming out. The Facebook stuff is coming out with iOS 6. When I launch,
So wait, I thought you had the same build as everyone else. I remember Tom was trying to check.
No, so I have the one I bought,
Okay.
Mountain Lion, on my regular work computer, and then I have a review unit which you have to send back. The review unit has Facebook stuff in it.
Okay.
So that's great. So we played with it. Josh and I both made accounts and like imported our Facebook. The Facebook stuff is awful. Flat out, it's not ready yet. I hope that in these next few months, they like fix it because it doesn't respect anything about Facebook. It treats Facebook as like a vast database of contacts that you want with you all the time. And for me, Facebook is not that thing. Facebook is a collection of relationships that I've allowed to deteriorate over the years. And now I stalk people from afar. And that's, I believe, what Facebook is meant to be. I'm not 100% sure.
No, Facebook is fundamentally a system for voyeuristic college kids
Yes.
that want to spy on each other.
Yeah.
I mean,
no.
it's
I
it's
actually
in
remember
its DNA.
I remember a point when I left school and like my social circle all like grew up and got jobs. One of my friends remarked to me that Facebook had gotten incredibly boring because no one went on spring break anymore. So anyway, so all that I hope we don't need to talk about it at length, but it dumps everything into your contacts with no regard for like who's on your family list or whatever.
You mean they didn't learn from Palm with Synergy?
They did not learn from Palm with Synergy, which is funny because we complained about that at length.
Past his prologue.
It's awful. It's really terrible. And it dumps everybody's birthday into your calendar. And so Josh just friends everybody on Facebook because he just friends everybody.
Right.
You can be Josh's Facebook friend. If
No,
you
it's
want
really
fun.
weird too because
So he has 2,900 Facebook friends, and they're all on his birthday. They're all on his birthday calendar. Now. So you can just turn it off. I mean, it's fine. You can just turn it off. It all goes away. It doesn't ruin anything. It's not permanent, but it's a little bit broken. But they have months to go. The rest of it, though, I think is great. What I was saying to Paul yesterday on The Verge was it feels like Apple did this thing where in 2006 they said that the Mac is the digital hub. It's the center of your world. Everything feeds into the Mac and everything comes back out. And that, I think that's like a lot of pressure right on the OS 10 team. Like it's got to actually be that thing. And then when they introduced iCloud, they said we're demoting the Mac and the PC to just another client of the cloud. And like maybe that's true and maybe that's working, but it feels like the OS 10 team had like that pressure removed to be the hub, and they could focus on making it work better with the internet.
right.
So you get share buttons everywhere. There's all this iCloud integration everywhere. iCloud to me still feels really unfocused Like, it hasn't kind of decided what it wants to be when it grows up, and there's no place to go. I think that's the main thing about iCloud that is confusing to people. You're like, I have this product with iCloud. What do I do? And it's like, don't worry, it just makes everything better.
Yeah, it saves files. Where? In the cloud. And your hard drive.
Right, so I think Apple needs to build like a central window in iCloud just to let you know what it's doing, right? Like, here's iCloud, open it up, and here it is. Like, PhotoStream, for example, there's really no way to manage PhotoStream. I had to go into the iCloud settings on the web the other day and completely zero out my PhotoStream because it was all my machines are out of sync.
Right.
So I delete an image from one machine and then put it to sleep and then open it again, and then that sync hadn't hit my other computer, so it would sync the image back. It was a really embarrassing image too. I was drunk.
So it's like
It was like most of my
it's
images.
like every image you have.
Drunk.
Whispery drunk.
Quiet noises.
Are you? I'm not
I'm
a whispery
sober.
drunk. I have a friend who is a
thought you were
really
challenging me
like
now.
a whispery. He's like, I have a secret, and I'm like, it's the secret that you've been drinking for 8 hours. He's like, yes, it is.
Now you know for a fact I am a very loud, obnoxious drunk.
You're drunk right now.
Too quiet to be drunk.
How's it going over there, TC?
Speaking of,
I don't know, man. This isn't Makers. It's not doing it for me.
all right, so let's get back on track.
So the iCloud stuff is great. I think they need to build it out. The messages, iMessages, another big feature. It works really well if you live in a completely contained world of iMessage, which you cannot do right now.
No.
Because if you have an iPhone, for example, your iMessage is tied to your phone number, and on the computer it's tied to your email address, and those things are not compatible. Again, iOS 6, it's coming out. They're going to unify the accounts. So then it's possible you could live in a completely unified iMessage world, and I think that could be really cool. Right now it's a little disjointed, but I tend to use ADM anyway for the other services. Mm-hmm. So if Messages kind of just figures it out with iMessage, that would be awesome.
That would be great. I think, for example, right now I'm using ADM or ADM. I'm not sure which way it is. I use it for Google Talk, and now I'm carrying an Android phone. It does sync everything up, sent and received, and I love that. I actually love that about my Android phone now, is that I can actually take a chat and then just take it with me on the go.
Yeah.
Thus, not needing text messages, not worry about that.
Yeah.
Can I just say this is one of the features I liked about Palm WebOS when it was in its prime?
Yeah.
I'm never going to stop talking about Palm.
Did it ever have a Prime? Welcome to the Vergecast. You're going to fit right in here. Did WebOS ever have a Prime?
A Prime?
Like in its prime.
Was there ever a
have
period
a
that you
Prime.
could refer to as WebOS's Prime?
At the CES keynote when it was introduced.
Yeah, like June 2008.
Such a
was the
good
hype.
No,
day.
it was not June 2008. It was like January 2009.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, instead of Mountain Lion, it's $20. And you get, it's. I hated Lion. Hated it. Couldn't stand it.
Why did you hate Lion?
It was a piece of junk. What else is it? It was slow.
I mean, okay, the thing about-
Mountain Lion was like, you know what's better than using a computer? Just waving your hand rationally over a trackpad.
I don't even know what am I running on this? I don't even know.
So the thing about these is like they're
That's
very...
got to be Lion. Isn't that new?
I think it's new.
Yeah.
It's Mountain Lion
Yeah. You don't even know.
or Lion, dude. I don't know.
Not like I
I'm a
upgraded
piece-
last
I'm a
night.
piece
I
of-
was drunk.
Yeah.
Dude, I have a secret. I upgraded to Mountain Lion.
Why are you quiet, Batman? What?
Where's Zucka? I'm drunk.
All right. Did you upgrade?
I upgraded, yes.
I mean, you know what? I
It
think
didn't break any workflows. It has
that's
enough
fine.
little things.
If you have a Mac, you should upgrade. But what I think is interesting is that we're at this point where I think Snow Leopard was in Windows 7. I'll lump them together. Snow Leopard and Windows 7 were the pinnacle of like the classic desktop operating system, and Apple kind of runs a little bit faster. They're doing yearly now, and Microsoft is on this 3-year cycle. So what we're seeing now with, I think, Windows 8 is Microsoft is saying, okay, we hit kind of the peak of what you could do with the desktop. Let's just throw that away, and here's a bunch of squares, and that'll be our tablet.
Terrifies
and
me,
you can, on the PC you can do both.
Right.
And I think that's really interesting. I think that's Microsoft saying, here's our vision of the future. I think Apple's vision of the future is very much like, how do we make this, if we're going to call this just a client of the cloud, how do we make it the best client of the cloud for its form factor? And what I think is even more interesting is that they're really not going to put touchscreens in laptops for the foreseeable future, as far as I can tell, because they talk trash about it all the time. They say the trackpad is the best touch input device for this
you don't
form
want to be
factor.
typing and then like stretch your hand out.
Maybe you do. Apple doesn't think you do, or doesn't
Until
think you
it
want
does.
to.
Until it decides it does.
Microsoft think that's a great idea, right?
Of course.
But But Apple, you know, what's the most interesting thing to me about Mountain Lion is it feels most at home on a MacBook Air. In particular, not even the 13-inch, on an 11-inch, because you have a lot of full-screen apps. You're doing all the swiping. There's notification center. Like, it's designed to basically feel like an iPad Pro.
Yeah, I mean,
right?
like we keep talking about like the iOSification, or however you want to say it,
Yeah.
of OS 10. Or if you want to go back to your earlier analogy, iCloud is a new platform. iOS, OS 10 are maybe just portals into that.
Right.
And with the one thing about Mountain Lion that they're doing is they're now sandboxing apps. They're asking you to sandbox apps.
Right.
Put in the Mac App Store. We'll get you.
They're
shown.
turning PCs in basically just like really fancy smartphones,
Yes.
right? Which is good and bad. But it's funny because they're turning, I think, these 70% of their sales are laptops, right? And I think they're optimizing OS 10. They're optimizing OS 10 for laptop. Like if you want to see the dumbest thing in the world, open TextEdit, full screen app mode on a 27-inch iMac with 2 monitors, which I have at home, 2 monitors, and it's like a giant text editing window,
Right.
no menu bar, and then linen on the other display. And it is the most. It's like this button makes my computer more useless than if I just turned it off. Like you literally cannot do anything with it's just on. It's just humming at you, creating heat.
Right. I mean, even their hardware designs on desktop are all based on laptop design. It's a trackpad now. There is no mouse.
They're
As far
still
as they're
shipping the
concerned.
mouse. I keep asking when they're going to swap out the Magic Trackpad to be the default on the iMac, and they're always like, "Well,
I mean, it's coming.
Sometime.
It
It
is-
has to come sometime.
It's happening.
maybe the next round of iMacs." But I think that is the interesting thing about Mountain Lion. Like, in terms of like, should you buy it? You should buy it. It's a good operating system. I hated Lion. I love Snow Leopard. I really like Mountain Lion. I think most people that I've talked to have upgraded. TC didn't even know what he was running.
Yeah, I'm
It's just like a ninja update.
But I mean,
that
these
happens
mostly
to
been
him.
a PC guy.
These
Yeah.
are also iterative updates. They're evolutionary. They're not revolutionary. We're still
But I
using
think this one
basically
is
the same
it's
formula.
Apple's. So that's the thing. It's Apple take these 1-year little steps,
Right.
right, and they're headed down this path to making their PCs more like friendly embedded devices. And I think the PCs are gonna get smaller. I think this 13-inch MacBook Air is like. This is their consumer device. If you're buying a PC from Mac, they expect you to buy this one.
Yes.
And I think they expect a lot of people to buy that 11-inch one. I don't think they expect a lot of people to buy the iMac. I just don't. I mean, the operating system isn't kind of built for it. Like, it works really well, but it also feels like Snow Leopard in a way because you can't use all of these interface features and stuff with it. Microsoft, they're taking bigger jumps every time. And actually, Mary Jo Foley said to us on the show and on the Verge last night that she thinks Microsoft will start speeding up to be more iterative. So Microsoft has to take bigger jumps, which I think are more noticeable. But this is like the moment, right, when the age of the classic desktop operating system is like over. And it's over because Apple's taken one more little step in that direction, and Microsoft's about to take a huge step in that direction. And that to me is what's interesting, not a $20 service pack to Lion.
Right. But I mean, it's also things like we have all these phones and tablets that we use almost as work devices. They're certainly what we use more than laptops now.
I fire somebody from my phone every day. That's my only job.
Yeah, we have a special Verge app for firing.
That'd be amazing.
Came out
Available now
before
in the
our
App
official
Store.
Verge
With
app.
a new update, you can actually fire multiple people at the same time. It's group firing.
Threaded firing.
Oh my God, is this somebody from Kansas City?
Oh, nice.
Yes, we have a caller from Kansas City.
How do I do this? I just push this button?
We're right.
Oh, and while we're doing that, we actually, I got someone told me on Twitter, Luke Chambers, who does a bunch of our Verge gifts for fun, he was telling me that Google has said they're going to make profit off the fiber network and TV.
Profit.
Profit.
You know what it is? That Larry Page is going to move to Kansas City and pay more than everybody else. So I just push this button to the left.
Yes, yeah.
And then really crucial, how do I hang up on this person if they turn out to be a maniac?
Uh,
All right.
The button that says drop in the same column.
There's a button marked drop. Drop. Okay. Here we go.
the Skrillex button.
Kansas City, you're on the line.
Yeah. Hi. This
What-
is Spencer from Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, is there, let's clear something up. Which one is better?
I'd say the Missouri side.
Why is that? I mean, this is very confusing to me. Can you explain to me the difference?
I actually don't ever go to the Kansas side a whole lot, so I don't really know.
Is that the other side of the tracks?
Are,
for
Can-
people
wait,
in
are,
Missouri?
are Kansas City, Missouri people allowed to even talk to Kansas City, Kansas people? Like,
Yeah,
is there some kind of
is there like a rivalry?
is this a Cobras and
no.
Panthers thing?
Not that I know of. I mean, I haven't been in Kansas City for too long. I just started going to school here, actually, so
I got you.
yeah.
Would you say your side, the Missouri side, has the good reputation or the bad reputation?
The Missouri side has a good reputation.
Oh, okay. All right, Goody Two Shoes, talk to us.
What?
Nothing. Tell me about Google Fiber. What are your thoughts?
Are you signed up? Did you pre-register?
I pre-registered. My apartment actually didn't show up whenever I went on because I live in an apartment and didn't show up, so I had to like make up some apartment number to get it.
Whoa, you're fading out.
We lost you.
Do you have AT&T by
I'm
chance?
fading out.
Yeah.
I'm on AT&T. I am, yeah.
They all do.
But yeah,
Okay, so you registered a fake apartment number. What happened?
kinda. It worked. I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen whenever they actually come to install it. So we'll see how that happens.
Are you going to go door to door asking all your friends and neighbors to sign up for your fiber hood?
I'd like to. We're getting close to reaching the goal already. So.
Oh, really? Just like organically?
What you really need to do is incorporate a small business and resell Google Fiber to all your apartment neighbors.
That's what Steve Wozniak would do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought about that actually.
He would. I'm not even. You think I'm joking? I'm dead serious. That's what Steve Wozniak would do. So wait. So just organically, you're reaching your neighborhood's like goal. Are people talking about it? What's the vibe on the street? Was that what the kids say?
Yeah. Well, pretty much everybody's been talking about it for a long time, waiting for it to come, and so now that it's finally actually starting to come, people are pretty excited about it.
Has anyone actually been worried about like this giant company coming in and trying to like add wires and internet everywhere and kind of, I don't know, is there any concern over like big corporation talking to medium to little size city and all that?
Not that I've heard, mostly just good things is all I've heard. At my school, we have pretty terrible internet there, so and like they have the thing where if there's a school or something nearby, if they get enough people to pre-register, then that school will get it for free, Google Fiber for free. And so I'm hoping my school gets that too.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, that's the sort of thing. But I think what Ross is asking, I'm curious if you've noticed this at all. Is there any worry that like the government is too cozy, like the government of Kansas City is too cozy with Google, right? I mean, because that's what TC and I always worry about is like government's too cozy with AT&T. It does keep you up at night. Panicked 5 a.m. phone calls from TC saying AT&T is coming for the government. It's weird. I'm like, TC, don't go back to sleep. They already came. They already won. Is there any concern that like Google's having too much of an influence in Kansas City?
I mean, no, not that I've heard. I've just heard lots of mostly positive things, and everybody supports it. So.
Let me ask you, what kind of internet do you have now?
I have Time Warner.
What are your speeds?
I have 20 megabits per second.
Do you actually up and down?
Not up.
I think it's just down, not up. No.
Do you actually get that?
Do I actually get that? Sometimes. Not very often.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. If Google actually delivers 1,000, what's funny is that Google has so much more headroom. Like if they promise you 1,000, deliver you 700, no one's going to complain. At all.
Yeah.
Well, that's really interesting. So you're cool with? Are you going to $300 2-year fee? You're cool with all that stuff, or 2-year contract?
Well, I'm going to do the 2-year contract, and I'll probably just get the internet, not the TV service. I don't really care about that a whole lot.
Yeah. So are you going to? Do you have TV right now? Are you going to keep Time Warner for TV? No, you don't. You're just going to.
No, I don't even have cable. I just stream everything.
You're just going to BitTorrent everything so fast. Okay. Well, so last question before we let you go. Are you hearing that from a lot of people that they're going to do internet only, or most people getting both? Do you know?
I haven't heard much. I mean, I haven't talked to anybody since they've announced the plans really about it. So, I mean, I would assume most people would just do the internet. I mean, most of my friends don't really watch a whole lot of TV. They just stream stuff. So that's...
What an odd distinction.
Yeah. It's almost like it's arbitrary.
Yeah.
You're not Kim.com, right? Calling us from Kansas City.
Oh, God, that'd be so awesome if Kim.com had a mansion in Kansas City with Google Fiber.
He's like, we were joking, say he is seeking asylum in Kansas right now.
He's like, this is the new home of Mega Upload. I'm getting a standard Google Fiber connection and thrown down. Okay, man. Well, it was really good to have you call in. I don't know how Josh ends these usually, so I'm just going to hang up on
Yeah,
you.
good luck
Goodbye.
deceiving Google with your address, even though they know literally everything about
good
you.
luck getting Google Fiber. So you're saying your house isn't on Google Maps?
It shows up. It just like I can search for it on Google Maps and it shows up on there. But then whenever I try to do it on,
Oh, they just hung up on it.
Caller, we're sorry.
What did you think the drop button did?
I don't know.
It's not bass.
I'm sorry. I guess I was hoping
Caller,
it would drop
we
a
love
beat.
you.
Spencer, I'm really sorry.
Want, want.
Google can do this for me because I just killed Spencer. Google find his home, which I'm sure you already. But can
What was
I
his
just
address?
say?
I don't remember what his address was.
I don't think we want him to tell us address on the Vergecast. But
Wait, so are they not doing apartments?
I don't know. But if his house is on Google Maps, but this is like another total like they built this in isolation, like in a bunker somewhere at Google. They're like, here it is. We didn't
So-
use any of our other products.
I mean, quite frankly, it's not just like Android.
Spencer, I'm
that's
so
fragmented.
sorry that I hung up on you. You
You'll
can
be
call back
okay.
and say and just
You'll be
say a
okay.
whole bunch of other words if you want. We just won't be on the air when you do
I
it.
mean, Google itself is a fragmented company. There's no part of it that seems to be talking to one another.
Right.
And the other thing I was thinking about too, because Google's good about like, oh, we do a bunch of projects, we get bored with them, spring cleaning, it's gone.
Dude, if they
And it's
shut down Google Fiber in Kansas City, it's like
10 years from now, like,
It's spring
guys, we're
cleaning.
bored. Sorry,
they're like
got a year.
Like Eric calls the mayor. He's like, "Have you ever heard of Google Wave? Because you're about to know the pain." And he's calling both mayors at once. Okay, because he doesn't know how to do a conference call.
No Google Hangout.
Can you guys hear each other through my brain? That'd be such an Eric Schmidt thing to do. I don't know why it would be an Eric Schmidt thing to do, but like, I just assume he's.
They
drunk
try
all the
to do
time.
some conference call with Google Glass jumping out of a blimp or something. Be like,
Guys,
And then the next day they would do it again.
yeah.
guys, it's
What's
Eric.
our
I'm
next-
5 miles out.
What's our next topic?
Up? Yeah.
All these crazy Apple.
Next topic. Speaking of Apple, was a transition I was going to give 10 minutes ago.
What we had Spencer.
No,
that I just
Spencer
hung
was,
up
I'm
on.
happy for it.
Sorry.
It's all about Apple versus Samsung for the rest of the podcast.
Is it really?
It is
You know, we've named it
Snapple.
Snapple.
Are you
Apple.
serious? That's
Yeah, because we
unacceptable.
had Goracle. Well, it was gonna. This is such. A
Can we be
stupid
clear
story.
that
So we had Goracle.
This is a stupid story. Let's go through it.
Well, we had. You need to know because we're gonna. So we had Goracle.
yes,
Which was
is
great.
Google
and then,
plus Oracle.
And then Brian Bishop is gonna spend a month and a half at the Goracle trial, and he's gonna spend another month and a half at the Samsung trial. So we're preparing for it. We're having all these meetings. And Matt McCary, who's our other legal correspondent, said we need a name like Oracle so we can file this stuff. And his first idea was Sam Supple. And that actually it lasted for like 2 days. It was really weird. And finally Brian was like, let's Snapple.
but
But AppSung.
Yeah, I was like,
AppSung is
AppSung's
good.
pretty good.
Policical.
Where does the N come from in Snapple?
I don't know. Snapple. I don't know. Snapple is good though. I like it.
I like Snapple. It's catchy.
And it's delicious. In
So-
case anybody would like to bring me a Snapple.
Mac and Sung.
so out of
What?
this man is
You know,
drunk.
you
He's
never
hosted
had
the
a vodka Snapple?
I love my vodka.
Okay.
Snapples. Yes. So there was two things that came out of it. One fun, one more interesting.
I like this. I like being the one who gets bored by the legal story.
Oh, that's great.
I want Josh in such a look of glee.
Let's talk about the fun part first, which is
Yeah.
a bunch of iPad and iPhone prototypes.
Yes.
We had iPads with kickstands.
Can I stop you and
yes.
tell the people where they came from?
Yes, please.
Okay, so-
Legal this.
Before they go to trial, both sides file their trial briefs, which is like an outline of their arguments. They basically tell the judge what they're going to do. Here's our trial brief, so when you're ruling on stuff, you can say what's going on. Most of those briefs were completely sealed, full of secret information. You know, all redacted and blacked out. At some point, the judge decided to unredact them, and at like 3:00 in the morning yesterday, like piles of PDFs hit the court's filing
Did we know
system.
it was coming yesterday at 3 a.m.? Were we aware ahead of time, or is it just kind of
It just happened.
okay?
And so people have been going through them like crazy, and there's so much stuff in them. And there's all these pictures of old iPhone and iPad prototypes.
So let me ask this: Did Samsung say we want to see Apple's old prototypes to use them against them? Like, how does that
Oh
work?
yeah. So the way this works is both early in the process, before the trial, they do what's called discovery. And discovery is usually where you settle a case because both sides ask each other for information. It costs a lot of money. It takes forever. And somewhere in there, you say, this is just not worth it. Let's settle, which is what Apple and Samsung should have done. And it's insane to me that there's going to be a trial.
We're seeing this
Monday.
because it went past discovery.
It went past discovery. And so Samsung sent Apple a letter saying, we want all relevant information regarding the development of the iPhone. You have to have you can't be overbroad. You can't just say, give us all your emails. So they can literally send them search terms. They can send them all kinds of very specific requests. Apple does the same to Samsung. We want all of your marketing information for the Galaxy S, whatever it is. And they trade them back and forth, and then they construct, the other sides get to construct arguments with it. So we're looking at, the Apple stuff that we're looking at is Samsung has carefully selected out of all the discovery they received, they've selected the things that make their case look the best.
Right.
And so what they're showing, and Samsung's big argument is, in 2006, when Apple was developing the iPhone, we were doing the exact same thing with our phones, and we were headed towards the same place. So all of these design patents Apple has on like a square, basically, they're invalid because we were developing concurrent. We're not copying them. All this development is happening in parallel, and Apple is even looking to other companies like Sony to see, in their minds, to imagine how Sony would design an iPhone. And they pulled out these old renders, which are crazy, where Johnny Ive basically directed one of his designers to imagine how Sony would build their phone.
Right.
And they came up with what looks like what would have happened if Sony built the phone. It has a jog wheel on the side, like crazy stuff, right?
But it does look very eerily similar to the iPhone 4
it looks
that came
a
out.
lot like the iPhone 4.
Yes.
And so I think that's all fine, right? I mean, that's why this is silly. Samsung definitely has a point here. Then, and some of the other renders are crazy. There's iPad with a kickstand.
Yeah.
There's an iPod Touch that is actually an iPod with like a hard drive in it that's like this thick. Just crazy stuff all in there.
So when I'm looking at it, I see three distinct design ideas. One is the iPhone 4 one we keep seeing.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is this Battlestar Galactica corners cut thing.
Yeah.
That looks like a Motorola.
So I have a
essentially.
source, by the way, who says all of these are all just like riffs. Like they were just spitting out ideas and none of them made it past. They were all, quote, none of them passed the sniff test.
But there was one beyond that was so interesting to me. It was on the iPhone and the iPad. It looks just like the Lumia 900.
Yeah, that one. And that one
That
is
so insane.
That one was they were basing it on the iPod Mini. It was their extruded design, they were calling it. So I mean, I think that's a really valid, on Samsung's part, very valid to say. They're going through ideas. There are only so many ideas. They're hitting on all of these notes.
Right.
What I think is really interesting is, like you're saying, they definitely hit on design ideas that we are now seeing. The one with the cut corners and that looks like any number of Motorola phones, right?
It does.
What's funny, of course, is that
Design board.
Apple rejected all these ideas and haven't been picked up. But I think Samsung has a super valid point there, right? Apple did all this design, and if you look at the app patents Apple is asserting, the design patent for the iPad really is like a rectangle, and it's like.
It's a slate without a keyboard.
Yeah, I
That's
think
about it.
Samsung has referred to it as Apple's black rectangle problem, and I think that's what they're going to present to the jury. Right? Is that you can't have a patent on a black rectangle, and I think they're going to say that pretty loudly to the jury. I think they're going to make that point pretty clear. On the flip side, the documents Apple has taken from Samsung and is presenting a case with show that Samsung is laser focused on Apple, and they are. I mean, Samsung's strategy, according to these documents, was the beat Apple strategy. And They pay endless attention to what Apple's doing. They have outside designers and consultants, including Google, say your products look too much like Apple's products. There's a survey from Best Buy. They figured out why people were returning the Galaxy Tab to Best Buy. The number one reason people return Galaxy Tabs to Best Buy was they thought it was an iPad 2. Which is super damning, right?
It wasn't. So I think 7 out of 30 stores said lack of product knowledge. One of those stores said we thought it was an iPad 2. So we don't know if they can draw it out any further. That's hugely damning. But
so
it's
that
also
piece
the
of
Kleenex
evidence.
Well, we also just
so the
don't know if
standard,
people just associate tablet with an iPad. I mean, that could be the case.
Well, but I'm saying, but the standard for these design patents, assuming there's two ways for Samsung to fight Apple's patents. One is to say the patent is invalid, which is the black rectangle problem. You can't patent a black rectangle. Fine. So there's that. I think they're going to do that as hard as they can. The second is say, well, even if you can, we're not infringing it. And the standard for infringing is if you're deceiving people into thinking, if you've taken design elements and you're deceiving people into believing that your product is the other product by your use of those design elements.
But
And
so-
if you've got data that people actually believe that your product is the other product and they're making a mistake in purchasing, then Apple has a case. And maybe you should not be able to make such a case. But that's what the law says, and the law has always said that for a long time, and Apple has that case, if that is true.
Right. So of the patents that are still in play, because I know they dropped a few before this went to trial, is it just hardware, or is it hardware and software? We're talking about the blips, the iconography.
I believe Apple has, and Apple's patents are dumb, and Samsung's patents are equally dumb. So, I mean, they are. And just the fact that this is happening is, again, stupid. So Apple's patents are a bunch of design patents, a lot of stuff on the iPhone design, a lot of stuff on the iPad design, and a bunch of utility patents. So the scroll back patent, there's a pinch to zoom related patent. It's not like the actual thing of pinch to zoom, but like one that's related to how it works, and something else. Samsung's patents are like 3 patents, something like 3G technologies, which are these FRAND standards patents that are like governments are involved in arguing about now. So the 3 on the 3G, and then they have their own insane utility patents on things like you are using a menu while your phone also plays music. And it's like, those patents are just as dumb, right? I mean, I get it. You have to file this lawsuit, but like just at a holistic level, you look at the things that these companies are claiming are costing them millions of dollars in lost sales, and it's like all of this is dumb.
What about texting and watching a video at the same time?
They also have a patent on texting and watching video at the same time. And yet I'm doing it.
He's really doing it.
Nice.
Wow.
Thank you, Creighton. I don't know if they have a patent on texting and watching video at the same time, but if they don't, I would say they're missing a golden opportunity.
I've only seen baristas do that. So I
Now,
Wow.
here's part of the findings that just got released that I thought was actually kind of interesting. AT&T, even AT&T went, you guys are going too far with this stupid stuff.
Yeah, with the ads, the fanboy ads.
Yeah, AT&T said, like, we're opposed to your fanboy ads, where you're just making fun of fanboys for either side or whatever.
Right. Well, I mean, that's like, why should AT&T tell Samsung what to do?
I know. It seems like we're selling both phones, so obviously you don't want that
Right.
economy. But, like, there is a lot of vitriol that went along into this.
I think there is, I think
But that's not illegal to be angry.
Do you think
Or
if
to say
it's
the
that.
result of this, at the end of the day, if the result of this is that Samsung stops paying attention to Apple because they have gotten slapped on the wrist by a lawsuit, which is costing a lot of money in sort of the absolute sense, but relative to Samsung, like whatever.
Right.
If the end result is that they learn to not copy Apple, which they have done in many ways for a long time, then the S3 is a really great example.
The S3 does not look like an iPhone. No one's going to confuse it for it at this point.
Right.
And Samsung has so much market share that they've done a great job of saying this is a Samsung product.
Right.
You will not confuse it anymore.
Right, and if that's the thing that they've learned, then that's great.
I actually think it's a way better looking phone in person than it looked.
Oh yeah,
when I
do you
saw it
remember
online.
when it came out? There was all those pictures that said this was the first phone designed by a lawsuit, and like that's really ridiculous, right? I mean that's Samsung's design. If that's true, then Samsung's designers should all be fired, right? Because there's so many phones on the market. They all look radically different, and there might only be X amount of ideas, but Apple only picked one, and they definitely only put out one phone a year. So all those other ideas are still out. That extruded shape that they didn't use, Nokia is using, is actually really good. Everyone likes that one.
Right, but
2
people-
cameras, man.
What is that thing, man?
Just the Evo 3D.
Why do you
my
have that?
problem is, why couldn't you do 2 cameras and a kickstand?
Why do you have
And
an
that would be
Evo
the most
3D?
perfect.
Was that what's hip in Baltimore?
It's totally.
Is everyone in
everywhere. It's hip
Baltimore
everywhere.
just taking 3D pictures?
I got to take
hold
3D
on.
pictures of the police. When
Why
they're,
did you-
beating people so I can be more
The Wire
realistic.
3D.
Right.
Evo be coming, yo.
Wow, Ross is fired. Just super fired. No, I mean, if that's the takeaway from this, then they should do it. But what they should really do is not have a trial. Do you know how much this trial is going to get absurdly nasty? They're going to drag each other through the mud in the worst possible way. And what's great for us and super exciting is that we're going to see all of these internal documents. We're going to see all these emails from Apple executives directing the design of these products,
Right.
which is fascinating. We're already seeing all the stuff from Samsung about how they relentlessly focus on Apple. Apple has a conference room. This is also in the documents. Apple has a conference room called the Android War Room, where all they do is they do competitive analysis of Android products in their marketing. That's fascinating.
Right.
But it's also why it's a waste. It's an argument. What you want the argument to be about is, here are two products. Which one of them is better? Which one of them helps most people do more things better? And that this is gonna be a month and a half sideshow over the Android war room, and like whether or not Samsung was too focused on Apple.
Right, and it's fascinating for us because it's cool to see the inside of these companies.
I'm ready. I'm actually really jealous that I'm not going to San Jose for the trial.
And like I'm super fascinated. I'm not even a legal person, but I love going through these documents.
You are not illegal. You're an illegal person.
I immigrated to this country
Too sexy.
I know. So drunk. Anyway, and
wow.
But like other companies, Sony, Motorola, Google itself, get this insight into Apple they never had, and this insight into Samsung.
And that is a pressure for both of them to settle. So anyways, this is going down on Monday. I think Matt is working on a huge piece talking about, he's going to break down all of the patents that are at stake, all of the trade dress claims that are at stake on an Apple side, and then Samsung's patents. The next month I think Monday is jury selection. Samsung, I believe, is going to ask potential jurors what kind of phones they use and how many Apple products they own, which is like fascinating.
That's one thing I was thinking about. Is there could be nationalism at play here too. Now, this is taking place in an American court,
can I say something really quick about that? So there was a huge groundswell of like impeach Judge Lucy Koh a couple weeks ago when she handed down the injunction against the Galaxy Nexus and the Galaxy Tab. And it was like, she's a bad judge. She's in Apple's pocket. She's a fangirl. Like all this terrible stuff to a judge who was appointed by the United States Congress to like a federal district court, which is crazy. And I cannot stress how stupid that is. Just fundamentally dumb. Because like a month before this, she handed down a string of rulings against Apple, against Apple for Samsung. And there was a wave of stuff saying that she was biased because she's Korean, which is insane. And on top of all of that, like this is Apple and Samsung. Their lawyers are there. If like Judge Lucy Koh has some improper bias, it's their job to like file the motion and say this judge has to go. So the story wouldn't be she's biased against Apple. The story would be Samsung's lawyers are blowing it. And if you don't think this is true, I mean, Apple's had law firms removed from its case because Samsung has complained about really trivial conflicts. Like, a lawyer on this firm used to be at another law firm, and at that law firm, another lawyer participated in one of our cases. And that was like enough of a chain to have a law firm kicked off Apple's side. So, and the Galaxy Nexus, the ban, she actually initially denied it, and it got appealed up, and the appeals court told her to redecide the case because they decided that she had misinterpreted the law. So she only did it after the appeals court basically told her to. And I'm just saying, like, all that stuff about Lucy Koh is like, we're gonna spend a lot of time paying attention to what goes on in this courtroom, and I think everyone's gonna get a lot better like idea of what she's like as a judge because we're gonna cover it. But from the outset, she's been basically as irritated with both Apple and Samsung as all the rest of us are.
And I don't know how much like normal law cases are like, but like there's so much pettiness and weird kind of antics both sides seem to be doing.
Yeah.
Like filing injunctions for this and
you know what they're
this.
arguing about right now is and this is how petty it is. Right now, what they're arguing about is the instructions to be given to the jury. So the jury, the jury doesn't know anything about patent law, so the lawyers are basically teaching them. And then at the end, the court will hand them a sheet of paper saying, if Apple proved X, Y, and Z, Samsung committed patent infringement. And they're literally arguing over what those lines will say. And it's a big deal because how you word it, could be leading. But that's the level at which these two parties are fighting. So like, if Lucy Koh is like taking like backroom money from Apple and Samsung misses it, it's like Samsung. Like Samsung is blowing it, and I don't think that's happening at all. But it might be happening.
What makes it seem really petty is if you look at like the Forbes
I would take
100 biggest public companies list, Apple's number 22 and Samsung's number 26.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're stealing bread out of each other's mouths. I mean, they're both massive companies that sell.
I told Samsung they should promise every juror a free washing machine.
Only if it's got a phone in it.
Yeah, well, no, when they control the phone. Okay, so that's Snapple. Any outstanding questions? Anything the chat wants to know?
I think we're good on that one. Of course, so, again, come Monday.
Yeah, it's all over.
We'll have Matt's report. The trials will start.
We'll get Brian to do some man on the street.
I just want to say I'm probably not going to be paying attention because I'm enjoying my new Galaxy Nexus 7.
Galaxy
much.
Nexus 7.
Whatever-
Do you
what is it
work
called?
for The Verge?
I do.
Just call it the Nexus 7.
Nexus 7?
Yeah. When did you get that?
It's a live wallpaper, man. It's got a galaxy on
He's
it.
been
Are you-
staring at this for
really?
hours. Like before you showed up.
It's my new toy.
It's good. Do you like the screen? I think
I
the
love
screen kind of blows.
Yeah. I'm getting that lifted edge problem, actually.
Oh, really? I just think it looks really washed out. But I haven't been looking at Evo 3D for the past year. I don't know what you're doing.
Can I give you the bird on the air?
Do you get a headache every time you take a phone call? Like, what, do you just leave it on?
My phone calls are actually in 3D.
Like, I'm just saying, man. All right.
So next topic.
Don't they have the Galaxy Nexus on Sprint?
Yes.
Don't they have the Evo 4G on Sprint?
I don't need to buy a phone every 6 months. I don't know. I can't understand these people that do that.
They're called
Bone
Verge
Zones.
employees.
Yeah, the bone zones. All right, next topic.
Next topic is earnings reports.
Oh, good.
I'm so sorry. We had quite a few. I'll give you the list. You tell me where you want to start.
All right.
Apple, Microsoft, Facebook.
All did badly.
Yes.
I think Facebook slightly beat, right? So Facebook came up slightly ahead.
But the stock dropped to an all-time low.
Right. They're at 23 now, actually.
Yes.
I just read a really salacious Business Insider headline that was like, Zuckerberg loses half of money. And it's like he still has $12 billion. So let's just go through them. Apple. What happened to Apple?
Apple, well, again, they made a profit. They made earnings. They had what they called record iPad sales, 17 million.
Yeah.
But the Street, this evil organization of
Those guys.
ill repute,
The 1%.
the one percenters, thought
them
they were
on.
going to make more money. So this was quote unquote a rare miss, a disappointment.
Yeah.
But
But they still grew like 23% from last year.
yeah, and
right?
they added like I think what 17 billion to their war chest. Like
Yeah.
they're over 120 billion I think now. Anyway, factors that are interesting: iPhone sales are down
Yep.
because I think everyone has caught on to the fact that there's a new iPhone every year.
So Becky has my old iPhone 4, and
Right.
it's complete garbage now. I don't know what this woman has done to it, but like the camera lens and only the camera lens is completely scratched. Like the rest of the phone is fine on the back. The rest of the glass phone is fine.
Right.
The camera lens is so destroyed that she can't take pictures anymore. It crashed. It's a piece of junk. I'm like, why don't you go get a new phone? And she's like, I'm waiting for the 5.
I'm gonna put my dead iPhone down here too.
Everybody has a dead iPhone. They're the new hip.
I just carry it around. One day I'm gonna make it to the Apple store and get it fixed.
How many
barista.
cameras does that iPhone have? Just curious.
What?
It has 2. TC, one in the front, one in the back. How many cameras do you
Seems
have?
like one less camera than the Evo 3D here. See, it's got 2 cameras in the back, and it's got one in the front.
Congratulations, you have a camera mullet.
That's awful. It's
All right.
terrible. Creighton's dying though. Creighton just
cameras.
lost it. A camera mullet. Okay, but yeah, I think everybody's waiting for the 5. I mean, I think that's the story of Apple's quarter. The biggest chunk of the revenue comes from the iPhone. Everybody's waiting for the new iPhone. The end. Right?
So much comes from the iPhone. The iPad's gaining steam.
Yeah.
The iPod is still dropping, but it didn't drop as much as they expected. So that's actually a positive for this
Yeah.
quarter. And Mac sales are just laughably small compared to everything else.
Yeah, but they're still like they're doing this.
Well, they're there. The laptops are doing this. The desktops are doing this.
Yeah.
If you actually break down the Mac
That's what I'm
sales,
saying. Nobody wants.
no one wants a desktop.
I want a desktop.
I have 3 desktops.
You have like 3 like homebrew like.
I have 3 of everything.
PC.
I have a problem.
No, but you've
have
got
3
like
monitors,
you've like build
3
PCs
cameras.
at home.
Yeah.
What are your? Tell me about your PCs. They're
great.
more interesting to me than Microsoft Linux.
No, I'm afraid for Windows 8 because
You are?
I'm so used to the Windows desktop.
But you still have it. You'll have it.
Can we just quit? I want to talk about what Gabe Newell said.
Oh, yeah, that was actually really good.
This is a good segue into Microsoft.
It is, but let's do Microsoft quickly, and then we can talk about that, and we can skip Facebook because honestly,
Who cares?
yeah,
It doesn't matter.
yeah.
So Facebook had a net loss of 492 million. It had record revenue though, best ever. Microsoft, sorry. What did I
We're
say?
skipping Facebook. But
say
go ahead. Facebook did some stuff.
Oh
And
no,
they
no,
lost a
I'm
bunch of
actually
money.
talking about. I'm talking about Microsoft money here. I think I just said Facebook.
Oh, okay. Facebook had a. Oh, yeah, you're right. You're right.
So I'm looking at Ballmer's face and thinking Facebook. Really?
That's not right.
Bad transition.
Go ahead. Microsoft lost money.
Microsoft lost $500,000,
Mm-hmm.
which they don't actually do losses that often, so it's a big deal.
Yeah.
But they had record revenue this quarter. The reason there was so little, the difference was this write-off. They acquired what? Quantive?
Quantive, like an ad metrics firm.
Something for
right?
$6.2 billion.
I will say this: there was a flurry of like web. Let's call it the Web 1.5 era. There was a flurry of acquisitions of these ad companies and search companies for Microsoft, for AOL, for all these dinosaur Web 1.0 companies. They all said, we've got to take on Google and Yahoo, which is laughable because it turned out they didn't have to take on Yahoo at all. So they all bought all these crazy web metrics when they all thought they were going to be content companies and they were going to sell content on the web. Microsoft is getting out of that business, right? They just sold off that part of MSNBC. They're selling off this other quantitative company, which honestly, like, no consumer has ever heard of because they sell like ad tracking units or whatever. So this is like, I would say this is the last of the Gates era for Microsoft. And what I think is really interesting is that the Ballmer, like, we keep talking about whether Ballmer needs to go, but it seems like all he's really been doing for the past however many years is like shutting down bad Bill Gates ideas.
Right.
And this is like the year when like Ballmer comes into focus.
And while you can argue that Ballmer doesn't make...
Because
he's shrewd.
Yeah.
I mean, he knows what he's doing.
But I mean,
energetic man.
he's revving every product ever for Microsoft, right? Every big... I mean, there's going to be a new Xbox. Like, within the next year, there's going to be a new Xbox.
Probably.
Mary Jo was saying this on the show last night. You should watch the show when it comes out. But there's going to be a new Xbox. There's new Windows Phone. I mean, probably new Office. Why not? There is a new Office. Mm-hmm. But like every major piece of Microsoft is getting a huge update in some way.
And a lot of people do not want to give Ballmer credit for it, but let's say this. It's not his idea, but he's letting the right people do these things.
Right. Well, he just like eats steak.
And well, he is the spokesperson. He is the flagship of the company. He's out there being enthusiastic more than any other human being I've ever seen.
Yeah. He loves this company.
He loves the company.
Developers. No, I mean, you're right. You know, they're doing Surface, which is, I think Surface is going to represent an enormous break for Microsoft, right?
Right.
It's going to, their OEMs they're not happy about it. Microsoft said it in their earnings statement. You know, we're now competing directly with our customers. That's a huge risk for us.
So I think they understand that Surface goes one of two ways. One, they do what their OEMs never did, and it makes Windows look good. Mm-hmm. Or two, they challenge. Where are you going?
Are you just looking at pictures of Ballmer over there? Can I tell you, no more fun than
Creighton,
you can
show
have
me your hands.
than two men in a dark room looking at photos of Steve Ballmer. All right, continue.
Or two, it challenges the OEMs to do something actually worth a damn that, again, makes Windows look good. It's a win-win for Microsoft. They may play it down as like, oh, we're sorry, we're upsetting you, but...
Well, you know, like what are their OEMs going to do?
I know.
Nothing. It's all enterprise.
Right. Like, what are they going to do? They're going to sell Windows 7 for a decade while they figure out Windows 8. I mean, just like they did with XP, right?
Right.
So let's talk about Windows 8 in this Gabe Newell quote. Gabe? Vince?
Gabe Newell.
No, it's not Vince.
Not Vince at all.
Vince Newell. Gabe Newell, who runs Valve. Oh, it's Valve. That's why I thought it was V. Gabe Newell, who runs Valve, said Windows 8 is going to be a catastrophe. I'm not getting this. I'm just riffing on this quote. He said Windows 8 is going to be a catastrophe. OEMs are going to leave the market. What's the actual? Do you have it?
I'm looking for he talked a lot. He's not a public speaker, so like it was a long quote.
Right.
But yeah, the point was Windows 8's catastrophe.
Some OEMs are going to leave the market
and go to Linux or something.
Okay.
And Linux's problem is there's not enough gaming on there.
Yeah, that's
like,
Linux's problem.
Yeah, that's just one of many. But
well, his thing is Microsoft is becoming too restrictive, and he's like not an Apple fan. So and he thinks Microsoft's too restrictive in the same vein.
But the thing is, again, where do you go?
So what was interesting is Mary Jo was on the show last night, and she said, "Until I saw the Surface, I agree. The Surface is a thing that will make this work. It's the right device for the software. It doesn't work on a laptop. It doesn't work on a desktop. And that I've heard this a lot now. It's not me. It's not Poison Topolsky, right? It's this.
He's never going to live that down.
No, never. But it's this cabal of like cabal. That's not the right word. Group. That's a much evil word for a collection of people.
Syndicate.
Yeah, it's a syndicate. No, it's this group of people, very respected sort of Microsoft watchers. You know, Gabe Newell has a big stake in what Microsoft does because he runs Steam, who are saying this doesn't work on laptops and desktops. And maybe they're wrong. There's a huge chance they could all be wrong, and Microsoft hasn't figured out and people are going to love it. But that's what they're all saying right now. And that groundswell of kind of antipathy for Windows 8 on a laptop is there. It's just there. And until like the next round of Ultrabooks come out with touchscreens and it all makes sense, I think it will remain there because right now using it with a keyboard and mouse doesn't make a lot of sense. And the lack of the start menu on the desktop, that's sort of like what I'm getting at with Mountain Lion. Like Apple's taking these iterative steps to like kind of rid you of the desktop with all these full screen apps and Launchpad and all this stuff. Microsoft is like, we just took it away. We took the start menu away, and every time you want to do anything, you have to look at the other interface.
Like the overall thematic differences between Apple, Google, and Microsoft are very interesting to me. Apple is staying the course. They have an idea. They know where they're going with it.
We think. They appear to know.
They appear, but it's also what Microsoft's doing. They're unifying everything under Metro.
Right.
And then Google's like,
I would say
fragmenting
Microsoft,
everywhere.
in terms of having an idea and knowing where they're going with it, I think Microsoft is way more aggressive.
Yeah.
Right.
They're finally doing stuff that people have been asking them to do for years, which is like integrate Xbox with their other products, and it's. I mean, that's probably the only example I could think of.
Yeah. I mean, IE9 on Xbox is not like really integrating it, right? It's like they're getting there.
Yeah.
They're inching closer to it.
And they're making a lot of smart moves with Windows Phone, with Windows, and with Xbox.
Yeah.
And trying to find some way unifying, not this generation, but I would not be surprised if next generation it was all one platform.
You know, if this was Game of Thrones, right at this moment, somebody would kill Steve Ballmer. I'm just saying that you'd be like, yes, finally, it's come together. I've waited so long for this. Oh my God, they just killed him for no reason.
We just launched Zune.
Oh my God, now we have to do another 8-episode story arc on a character you're going to murder.
You, Peter Dinklage, you're now playing the role of Steven Sinofsky. Go forth.
Yeah, he would be good. He's ruthless.
Very good, yeah.
He's very cunning. Very
Yeah.
small. What? Both of those things are true. I actually don't know if Peter Cunning. Peter Dinklage is cunning in real life, but his character is cunning. He plays a lot of cunning characters, which I believe you can only do in a realistic way if you yourself are cunning. Logic, man. Look it up.
Should I just say something?
Crane's doing this again.
Should I just say something
Go
really
back to your
stupid
Ballmer
and-
pictures, D. Simone. What's next? Do we have anything else to talk about? How long has this been? Should we take some calls?
I mean, that should be. I think
I would
we're
love to
at-
verbally abuse our readers.
All right, let's take a
hang up
couple
on them.
calls, free for all, and then we'll take 3, and
we'll
then
wrap
we'll
up.
be done.
It takes a second for it to get out to the stream.
Oh, TC freestyle.
What?
What?
Uh,
Don't do that.
He said freestyle.
I didn't say drop.
Oh snap! He dropped
Oh god. Oh god. Ross is so fired.
Ross, we
all
could
the
just
time.
make GIF material.
I mean, what
GIF
worries me is
It's
that we've
GIF.
put you in charge of 90 seconds on The Verge.
Yeah.
And I see where your mind immediately goes. And yet I'm like, I'm not going to worry about it. He'll just do it
Taking
all.
hands off.
Because I'm shooting it later.
You are shooting
right?
today, yes.
Did you write me an entire script?
I
and
haven't had
rap?
a chance to write it yet, but
Here we
if
go.
you want
What are these
to,
boxes? Who are these people?
Not the box. Wait for a checkbox.
Wait for a checkbox? Oh, I got a checkbox.
Do it.
Did you just hang up on line 1? Did they not meet your criteria, Brendan? Okay. Here we go.
checkbox this.
Caller, you're on the air. Ross, you have to stop that.
All right, I'm sorry.
Caller, talk to me.
Hey, how's it going?
What up?
All right.
What's your- wait,
Calvin,
wait. Where are you calling from, Calvin?
I'm actually calling from Greenville, South Carolina.
Nice. How is it? Is it nice there? Are you on the beach?
Well, not really that close to the beach, but it's pretty warm. I would say.
Every time I go to
kinda
South
humid.
Carolina, I end up on the beach. So I just figured I'd ask. Anyway, what's
How
up?
often do you go to South Carolina?
Yeah.
Like once a year. I actually stay in North Carolina. It's not important. Calvin, tell me about your life.
Yeah. Well, I'm actually using the Windows 8 release preview right now, and wanted to go ahead and kind of talk about it. Because
Yeah.
I know you guys were saying how, it's not really desktop or laptop oriented there.
Yeah.
But my thing is this, is when I use it, because I actually have it on a HP TouchMart, and I also have it on just a regular HP laptop.
Okay.
When I use it on the laptop, I actually use it completely different from when I use it on like my TouchMart.
Are you using all the touch
I
stuff?
would actually,
Are you using it as a touch computer on the TouchSmart?
Yeah, exactly. I'm using it as a touch computer on the TouchSmart, and more like like you would like a tablet. And I kind of stay on the start menu and go through all the Metro apps. But when it comes to the laptop, what I do is I actually just go to the desktop and I'll stay there. Like I actually only go to the start menu to do like a quick search for an app, and then I'll go right back to.
So you're not using any of the
going
new
on to the
interface
desktop.
stuff. You might even argue
I
that.
am, but I'm using it in a more conventional way, like I used to use on Windows 7. Like with Windows 7, I would go to Start, I would do a search or search for a really quick program, then I'll be done with it. But when it comes to it on the laptop for Windows 8, I'm using it in almost the same way, even though I also can use the live tiles too. But
what do you use the live
that's
tiles for?
kind of how I'm using it.
I feel like the live tiles on
basically-
a laptop, the live tiles are like the same, and they're the same as like what OS 10 does with widgets. Like they're there and it's cool. It's like that's what the weather is, and then I go right back to like actually using.
Do you actually use it for the weather?
I do use it for the weather. But I mean, so
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly how I use it too. It's like, you go onto the start real quickly. You say, "Oh, hey, that's the weather. Okay, that's the Facebook update," and I'm done. I go right back to the desktop.
it's almost like the desktop computing paradigm was designed for the form factor of the PC that you're using, and introducing an entirely new metaphor doesn't work unless you change the form factor.
But let's also be clear here.
I
though.
mean, what do I know? I'm just riffing on core concepts of computing.
Well, like,
design.
we're downplaying the live tiles, but I mean, he checked weather really fast and moved on with his life. Like, that's an efficient use of live tiles. I'm defending
you just
this.
take that dirty money from Microsoft, man. You just fill your pockets. So, let me ask you a question, Calvin. So, you've got these two different things that you're doing, and they're very different kinds of interfaces. Which one do you like better?
It's hard to say because I actually like the touch smart interface with the touch oriented stuff. Like even my kids are able to use like the games and everything touch oriented, so it's really terrific for that. But for a laptop, it's where I kind of go to work. You know, I'll sit down with it. I go in the office or do whatever I have to do for my job, and I come out. So I mean, it works flawlessly on both of them, but in different ways.
Can I ask you, what were you using before you installed the consumer preview? 7, Vista, Windows ME?
I used well, maybe I haven't brought that in a while.
It's such an easy laugh line. You're like, hey, Windows ME.
Yeah.
What's a bigger laugh to you, Windows ME or Zune?
Dude, the Zune HD was quality.
By the way, he just giggled. Okay, Calvin, what were you using me for?
Yeah.
Let's go back on track, which we're so good at doing.
I used to use Windows. Well, I use almost every version of Windows now, but I used Windows 7 beforehand, and then I was kind of hesitant, so I did like a partition for like Windows 8 and Windows 7 on the same hard drive. And as I started using Windows 8, I was like, wow, this is just so much faster. Why am I using Windows 7?
So you just switched over.
So was there a learning curve for you between 7 and 8? Like, I mean, I think that's something a lot of people. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, it was small, but that I'm a pretty heavy power user. But I guess what I had to learn was that if you use Windows 8 like it's supposed to be, what I think looks like it's supposed to be used, like Windows 7 on a laptop, and then use it for like touching on the other stuff on like a touch computer or like a tablet, it works wonderfully once you get used to that. Like once you know which one is supposed to be for which.
Right.
I guess is the best way to put it.
Cool.
So are you going to buy Surface?
I have to see what the price is because I also like the Asus Windows 8 tablets that they're coming out with too.
Yeah.
But both of them look really great. So yeah, I'm probably gonna buy one of them.
If you were going to buy a Surface, would it be the Pro model or the?
Well, the Pro isn't the Pro model Intel?
Yeah.
You'd buy the Intel one.
Intel one.
I definitely would do the Pro one just because I also want to take my tablet and get a lot of work done, and I think that's going to be the best way to kind of segue into that.
Yeah.
Not to say that the other one won't work with other things, but since it can't install certain programs, I think it would be better for me personally to have Pro and go forward from there.
Gotcha. All right, Calvin, we're going to let you go. Thanks for calling in, man.
Thanks.
All right, let's take another one of these. Drop. Yes. I just like pushing the button. All right. Caller, you're on the line. Who are you? Where did you come from?
Hey, what's going on, guys? My name's Eric. How are you?
Hey, Eric. Where are you, Eric?
Exeter, Rhode Island, middle of nowhere in Rhode Island.
Do you actually attend Exeter? Are you the 1%?
What's that?
Do you attend Exeter?
No, it's just a town.
Oh, Andover, man.
You're
I
getting
see.
hostile with this guy. He just got on the phone.
What, man?
We promised verbal abuse.
Yeah, it's true. Go
He's
go
just
ahead.
trying to fill the role of Josh,
Yeah, I'm being. Yeah, so you're the friendly one. Ross doesn't. Go ahead, man.
I had a
Just
question
dead
about
silence
Google
on that one.
Fiber.
Yeah, what's up?
Does anyone know, does the TV delivery happen over the IP network, or are they doing a separate delivery for the TV network?
That's a good question.
They didn't tell us. I actually asked Dieter to ask that question, and I'm assuming it's a separate network. That is my baseline assumption, but we don't know.
Right.
Okay, that was my main question. I did want to say one thing about the Windows 8 in the last caller. I tried to use it, and on a desktop, it's not fast, especially if you're using multiple monitors. You got to memorize your window keys. I went back to 7.
You went back to 7.
Wow.
I have 3 monitors, man. I'm screwed.
Yeah. You know what would be awesome if you open text at one of them, the other two just showed you linen.
That's a problem when you use iFinity because when you actually play games and stuff on all 3, it's one.
Do you actually wear a
big-
crown that says King of the Nerds
I
when
do.
you game
Yeah,
on your
I do.
Infinity stuff?
I do.
Do you think multiple monitors are dead?
I mean,
None of these
400
operating systems
works
are.
on it.
None of these operating systems are good at them.
No, and it kills me when
No.
I'm trying to do full screen apps.
Maybe. I mean, if you spend the time to set it up.
Wait, which operating system?
Linux, if you spend time
Linux.
to set up multiple monitors.
You can do anything with Linux if you set a time set. You can fly a 747 into space. All right. It's true, by the way. I did that yesterday.
No,
It's
you
not
didn't.
true. I did
Hey,
do that. You can't.
Stop.
Guys, you can't fly a 747 into space.
really?
Eric, any other questions? Anything else we should talk about?
No, man.
Lord
Thank you
Xenu
for your
could.
time.
Thanks for calling in. All right, let's take one more. All right, caller, you're on the line. You're the last call of the day. Make it good. Where are you? What?
Who are you?
Hey, I'm actually in the Republic of Georgia.
The what?
language.
Of Georgia?
You mean the one in Eastern Europe, not the secessionary state in the south?
Yeah,
of the
yeah,
Watch it.
Eastern Europe, not U.S., yeah.
Hi.
I'm from the U.S., I'm from Seattle, but
You're in the Republic of Georgia right now. What
Hey,
time? What time is it there?
it's like 10 o'clock at night and 11, I don't know.
Okay, what's up?
I woke up 4 hours ago.
Oh my God.
Hey, I wanted to point out that the Google Fiber stuff in Kansas City is actually a case study for the future. Google wanted like a centrally located like places they could use to make their searches faster, and then they also wanted to see how people would react to having speeds that are 10, 20 times faster than what's commercially available today. And you guys completely missed that on your catch. You're like, oh, they're just f***ing around, but like really, Google
F-bomb.
is using this.
You know what I didn't miss?
I
didn't miss your
look at-
F-bomb. Caught it. No, I get that. I think I get what you're saying. I mean, I think you're right. Google's experimenting to see what the future should be like, but they're also pretending that they're running a business, and I think that's the thing we're focused on. Is I don't believe that they're actually running a business. They're saying they're going to turn a profit. They're saying they can do it. I think what they want to prove to this is what I'm saying. They want Comcast to feel bad about itself. They want Time
if they
Warner
just
to
wanted
feel
to do
bad
a
about
case
itself.
study, they could have picked a small town from anywhere that was way smaller
Well, they're
than
trying
Kansas
to
City.
progress the market.
Well, I mean, they are and they aren't. I mean, you progress the market by
I don't
actually
know how-
competing.
They're trying to progress the market and show, hey, this is possible. This is how you do it. Here's a viable business model.
But if that were true, I think they would actually run a real business out of it. I agree with you. I completely agree with you. But what I think is that, I mean, it's they're saying all this stuff, right? They're delivering this product, but what they're really delivering, what the real innovation is for them, is they're giving people really fast internet. And that's it. That's the core of what they're doing. All of this TV stuff is the same product that you can already get from Time Warner, right? It just has a nicer interface. You know what would make it really interesting to me? If the TV interface, if you could plug in any DVR, if Google said, we've invited Acer and HP and Dell. I'm picking random companies, but we're inviting these companies. We make HTC make us a cable box. Do something wild with Android, and any of you can plug in. And we have 15 different hardware vendors and all these different interface ideas to plug in a cable and really revolutionize television on top of 1,000 Mbps internet. I think that would be wild. They didn't do that, and I think the case study of what will people do with faster internet is. We're already living through that case study in real time. It's just happening very slowly. Because 5 years ago, my internet was really slow. 10 years ago, it was I had 1 Mbps up and down, and now I have 50, right? So, like, we're living through that much more slowly. Google accelerating that case study is really cool, but I think they missed the opportunity to reinvent television at the same time. And to me, that's a little bit disappointing. I mean, maybe you disagree with me.
You don't think explore what television could be in the future with Kansas City, and maybe they've made a few missteps with having this like set-top box, which is basically a TiVo with a Google logo.
Yeah.
I think they're exploring. I think they're also trying to develop a relationship at the same time, because I think they've been at odds basically with YouTube against content providers, and they're trying to kind of invite them into the future, along with Google saying, hey, you can still make money. The internet is not going to cut into your profits necessarily. Here's how
Well, of course it's not going to cut into their profits, right? Because they're selling the same package that they get from Time Warner. So it's the same business model. So, I mean, I get what you're saying. I think it's interesting. I think you're right. They're doing the slow burn of a relationship build. Come into our service. Maybe a year from now, let's reevaluate what people are doing. I get that. I think that's probably very accurate. And I think that's the only way they could get the TV providers to play ball. But the real innovation comes from the thing. But the real innovation is going to come from what the people want, which is to not have a cable company, which is to say, I want AMC, deliver it over my 1,000 Mbit Google connection, or I want HBO, deliver it, not I have a bundle of packages from the Disney Channel because I want ESPN.
Yeah, because the real difference is based on the Telecommunications Act, right? It's not, I mean,
Right.
the distinction between internet pipes and private cable networks.
Can we just go to Washington, you and me, and just
Can we please?
just do it?
Let's just do
Revolution
Can
in
I
the
ask you
streets.
a question?
Yeah. RTC and I going to make out after the show? Very probably. Yes.
Why am I sitting
No,
between
what do
you two?
think the
So go ahead.
just really quick, I just want to hear your opinion on this. What do you think the future for commercials are? Do you think that there will be a paying available to people like kind of the HBO business model for network television, where I can just have my show if I pay a little bit more money? 'Cause
No.
that's what I get right now on
People are
BitTorrent,
always
and
gonna
that's
need
what
to
we have
advertise.
deal with as far as competition.
But so what you're getting on BitTorrent doesn't pay for anything, you know, and that's the simple fact of the matter.
Well,
Is
that's the competition. That's the reality of it, right?
yeah, but fine, you know, he can keep not watching commercials on BitTorrent, but like that means people don't get paid, you know, and that's it. That is the simple truth. And you can try to say, and this is the argument, the nonstop argument. You can say I would pay $20 to watch a show without commercials. But no, you won't, because the competition from BitTorrent will still be there. And the vast majority of people will still go to the free option. And they will still not watch the commercials or skip the commercials. And the biggest market for network television programming, is over-the-air antenna watching. It's people with TVs in their homes, and that is still bigger than the entire cable market. And so as long as they have to monetize broadcast television, there will be commercials. And
I don't think you're entirely correct, though, because if I want to BitTorrent something, right, I have to figure out when that show happens every week, and then I have to go and make a few clicks, and I have to think about it every single week, and I can't just forget about the show.
Well,
and,
let me
like,
ask you a
have it,
question.
like,
How many
automatically.
$1.99 episodes of TV do you buy from iTunes?
No.
But, I mean,
I'm
how
talking
many
about, like, paying-
$2 episodes of television have you bought from iTunes?
Or $25 season passes that automatically download.
Yeah, how many $40 season passes of shows have you bought from iTunes? You can do this. No one does it. I mean, that's the reality, is that to make the money the way they want to make the money, they have to raise the prices. Once you raise the price, piracy is not a technological, it's not a behavioral problem, it's a pricing problem. And the problem is the competing price is always free. No matter what you set the prices at, you can distribute it any way you want. iTunes is probably the single most convenient way to like get content on your computer. Amazon is equally convenient, but there's like more steps, right? There's like helper apps and stuff. Right. iTunes is like you open the app, you press the button, you're watching the thing. And I think I bought maybe 5 episodes of TV from iTunes, period. And most of them are like free pilots.
I don't think you're right. I look at Valve's Steam platform for the PC, for PC gaming.
Why does Steam work? Steam works because it's super wrapped in DRM, and there's no piracy alternative to Steam.
Cheap.
And the UI is so easy. Search, click, download.
Because and the DRM on the gaming side is getting worse. Right? What's the game where you have to be logged in? Huh?
Anything that Ubisoft makes.
And the EA Origin also is pretty bad.
Right? You have to play a PC game now. You have to ping a DRM server because the piracy problem is so bad that they're forcing you to buy the games. I don't think anybody wants that from TV, and I mean that to me is like. You can say BitTorrent is like a valid option for watching TV, and I joke about it all the time. And I firmly believe that you should be allowed to BitTorrent shows that have been broadcast on network television because of all this wonky copyright theory that I have in my head. But at the end of the day, you've got to pay the people, right? Community isn't on the air because NBC wasn't making enough money from it.
6 seasons a movie.
I mean, like, there's a whole big world out there, right? That's not the U.S. Yeah. I mean, where am I going to pay for these programs? Like, I'm in the Republic of Georgia.
So then you should have more
issue.
ads. I mean, like, I don't know, man.
Centric perspective.
Well, no, but that's an interesting argument too, because there's content in Britain that I want to see.
I can still buy my games on Steam from the Republic of Georgia, no problem. If I want to go watch Game of Thrones, good luck, right? I have no option.
Well, that's true in the U.S. also. It's good luck to get it here.
Yeah. Well, look, man, I can't tell you the structural problems of like licensing media rights in different countries. But I can tell you that the problem isn't solved even in the U.S. It's not, as far as I can tell, it is not solved in any country in the world. And like, you can't solve the global problem unless you create a model somewhere that you can expand. And so, like, yeah, I have a U.S.-centric perspective. That's the law I understand the best. But, you know, it's hard. It's really hard to walk. I can imagine what it's like for an Apple executive to walk into, or an Amazon executive to walk into, or Microsoft's executive to walk into HBO's offices and say, give me your content to sell everywhere around the world for free or for any price that I choose. Don't worry, it'll all work. Because that's not a really good argument. It's not a good pitch. And if you are the content creator, and, you know, it's funny for me, we sell our we monetize our site with ads, right? But I'm still very protective of the content we create because we work hard to make it. And so if you're any content creator that works hard to make it, and somebody says, let me monetize this for you, don't worry, I'll just make you the money. And we get pitches like that all the time. People ask to syndicate our podcast. People ask to syndicate our content on our site, our features. And we turn them down all the time because we want to be in control of what we make. Yeah.
Why don't you release a version of the Vergecast video on BitTorrent? I know that's been there's a huge drive for your viewership to do that. Why haven't you done that?
You know, I don't know. We used to. We can talk about it. You know, the way we monetize the shows, we just say the ad, so it's fine. But we used to do. Didn't we used to do On the Verge and BitTorrent, Creighton? And we used to do
Engadget show too.
We did the Engadget show on BitTorrent. So we experiment with this stuff, but you know, it's packaging content in different ways is overhead and work for us, and we've got a lot of stuff to do.
I can tell you the reason why we don't.
Oh, Creighton, talking to this mic.
No, you've got the file. Just throw it up on a torrent site later.
All right, hold on. Creighton's gonna be talking without listening.
I mean, I can tell you the reason why we don't BitTorrent the show anymore. It is because of sales. Because most of the people are watching it on the website, and that's, well, there's pre-roll there.
Yeah, that's how we make our money.
And regardless of, we also put it on YouTube. And even though we run an ad mid-roll and we run a Josh thanks the sponsor at the beginning and the end of the show, those don't count. Those YouTube views don't count. No, thanks. With a TH.
Yeah.
Because they need to look at numbers of it, and that's what it looks like. I'll just come down here now.
Yeah.
You're producing from.
Yeah, I guess I
keep talking. Yeah,
because they need that counter on the pre-roll and the post-roll. That's why we don't do it.
Could I respond?
I mean, also, if you read any of the comments, someone is BitTorrenting it.
Yeah.
Like
so let me just time out. Let me just end this conversation.
Yeah.
Here. We can't change that aspect of our. Like, I would love to. I would love to change it tomorrow and say count all the views, but like that's reality. Go back, producer man. Get out of here. That's just reality. And that's reality for all of these companies, right?
Could I respond really quick?
Sure.
Look, so like I'm in Georgia. Like if I leave Tbilisi, then I don't have internet access, and I'm a pretty big Verge fan. If I go to my village, I just don't have internet access, so I can't watch your show. And I'm just going to watch the most recent show. I'm not going to go back and watch the 3 shows that I missed when I was in my village. I'm just going to watch the most recent one. And so you just lost 3 views. Where like. Yeah, I would like to know what you said. You're not actually gonna people aren't gonna migrate to BitTorrent from your site. People like enjoy watching it streaming. They want a downloadable option, and the easiest free way to do that for you guys is BitTorrent. You're not gonna lower your numbers there. In fact, I would argue that you could raise your response to 5 of you.
Creighton's got up.
Offered that.
You're right. So chill out for a second. I get what you're saying, and everyone agrees with you. I think that's the core of this thing.
If you want, I can do a private show for you on BitTorrent.
No, but everybody.
We won't even record it. I'm just going to put a microphone in front of you and just let you feel better.
Yeah. 3 beers and a Sodic. It's gross. Everyone agrees with you, man. And I would love to do that. We initially started doing that. No, but that's what I'm saying. Our initial.
Yeah, and you're talking about, you're addressing much different issues like international copyright, method of monetization, connectivity.
I think he's addressing an important issue. All of those constructs that manage that stuff is a complication. People,
right? That's globalization. Like that's tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah, but dude,
but it's not today.
I make my money in American greenbacks, and that's real, And like that's the thing, are the people who pay us to roll ads
from a worldwide trip. I mean,
hey man,
look, a really quick poll.
Money talks, BitTorrent walks. This doesn't mean
What?
anything. No, look, this is what I'm saying. Even in this narrow circumstance where the people who make The Verge would love to, we initially put it on BitTorrent. We did it. We made that happen. The people who pay for the show, they wanted to count their ads that way, and so we restricted it. And I'm not saying it's a great idea. I'm not saying it's a great outcome, but it's true. And that's a little problem for us because we can put most of our content everywhere, and we want to put all of our content everywhere. But when you run a bigger business, when you're HBO, when that's your entire business is how you distribute content, how you monetize it, when you're NBC and running ads against your content is the biggest part of your business, you pay even more attention and you make even more restrictions and you segment the markets even more because literally that is your revenue stream. And until you can figure out...
And look how horribly that has failed for them. I mean,
it's not fair. They make a ton of money. What are you talking about? They make so much money. Like, you can argue that it's failing them.
What's the most wanted TV show ever?
Huh?
It's an HBO show.
I don't know what you're saying.
Are you saying that?
Some people pay for it if they had the option. I think they would. Because people ultimately do have a conscience and want to.
Yeah, but the money they
like,
make from that will not equal to the money they get getting licensing fees from the cable
I think we're kind
companies.
of going in circles here. Yeah. Look, everybody agrees with you, and everybody wants to live in utopia. And you know, if we could all make content for free and make the best thing for free.
If only everybody had 3 cameras on their handheld
what
device.
you need to do, 3 beers and a Sonic in 3D on BitTorrent tonight.
I'm going to, yeah.
So yeah, to your point, it is a tomorrow thing, but we're not there yet.
No, you guys are misunderstanding me. I'm not saying make content free. I'm just saying make HBO Go free of like country boundaries and free of difference between like, you know, there was a huge like brouhaha between Time Warner and HBO. I was paying for cable back in the States and I couldn't get my HBO Go on my Android or my Zoom because Time Warner couldn't reach
Wait.
Zoom.
You had a Zoom. There's your problem.
Yeah,
Wait,
you
Zoom
got-
or Zoom?
If you don't like
Really,
America,
the credibility,
you can get out.
the credibility of demanding HBO Go on your Zune is
No, wait.
wait,
Zune
Zoom
or Motorola
the
Zune,
Zoom
XOM.
tablet. Oh, I thought that'd be awesome. By the way, if you were demanding it on a Zune. Look, I hear you. There's just layers of rights to manage there. I mean, when you make something, you sell it. The person who makes the show sells it to HBO. HBO sells it to the network. It's complicated, and I wish we could solve it. I wish I was. Look,
Neil,
vote for Neil, king of the world. Okay, I will solve it for you. Why are you still yelling at me?
In the game of HBO Go, Neil, you either
How do I end this conversation, dude? I'm sorry.
Skrillex button.
I am. I'm apologizing to you. I'm sorry that I'm aware of what's happening.
Still made it work.
Huh?
Steam still made it work. So why can't other content providers just?
I know exactly why. Because the game publishers provide their content to Steam directly, and the contract for Steam from the outset, Steam was 5 years old. The contract for Steam in the 5 years it's existed has always specified global distribution. That is not how television work. It's not how movies work, and those industries are much older and have much more.
Yeah,
baggage.
a lot of this is like perfect hindsight too. Like, of course, we know all these great devices that are available now, and there are potentially innovative ways to distribute this content. And I'm not saying it's right, but Hollywood and the cable operators and all of their partners have had, you know, these complicated business relationships that have developed over decades.
Yeah.
And they're not just going to throw that away because there's a potential to syndicate
Steam looks like a
HBO
good
on
idea.
an Android device.
And I'm telling you, the reality of Steam and the reality of online games distribution is now insane DRM. And that if you are willing to accept that, then you can probably get there with all this media. But I don't know that anyone's willing to accept it with movies and TVs and music.
Wait, have you played a game on Steam lately? It's really easy.
But it's wrapped in layers of DRM, right? I mean, are you discounting the fact that Steam wraps all their games in crazy DRM? All of Ubisoft game are wrapped in DRM. I mean, like, that's the reality. If you want that to exist, the devil's choice is you can have all this freedom of distribution, but you have to have the DRM. And that's Spotify too, right? Spotify, access to all of the world's music. It's great. Crazy DRM all over Spotify. And that's just the way it is. We're going to wrap... Creighton, why aren't you doing this?
Yeah.
All right, dude.
Sorry.
I really enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, it's a good conversation.
Here's my problem. I love to argue. and I will argue about worldwide distribution rights of Game of Thrones all day long. And right when you think I'm going to solve it, they're going to kill me.
But I think it's a legal issue at this point, international law.
Yeah. Look, it's complicated, and I wish it could work. And it's funny because it's the number of things that you've yelled at me about in this conversation are amazing. And, but you're right. Maybe Google Fiber will change the mechanics of distribution because it'll be easier to get things to people directly. And I think that's the hope, right? If HBO says, in Kansas City, we will sell directly to the market because it's fast and cheap and easier to get content over the internet to people than it is over the cable, that'd be great. Yeah. I'm going to hang up on you. I love talking to you. Every minute of this has been a joy.
No, it's cool.
Yeah. Take care.
Thanks for watching.
That was awesome.
Keep BitTorrenting our show. I encourage you to do it. I'll tell Samsung that you watched. By the way, text and watch the video at the same time. Bye. Okay, let's wrap this up. This has gotten way
What
off
the hell
rails.
were we talking about?
I don't know, man.
I don't remember.
I can't. These people, they talk to me, and then I'm like, I'll
Talking
fire
the
it up.
Samsung Nexus 7. It's a great tablet.
The Samsung. You are so fired.
I will point at you with my Samsung Galaxy S3.
Oh my
I will
God.
point
Anything-
and text.
Let's
and burn
let's
at
be
the
done
same
with
time.
this.
Just trolling.
I don't even. How long is this? Is this 5 hours?
I think we can keep it going.
That was like I blacked out there. I was like,
I have my car until 9
reciting the
p.m.
statute of Anne. I like that we had Creighton come in to talk revenue models for us.
I just like Creighton sitting on my lap. I don't care what it's
Look,
about.
we can put the show on BitTorrent if everybody sends me $1, huh?
Longer than an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
so
All
like we should wrap it up. So that was the Vergecast. That was some version of the Vergecast.
I'm Josh Topolsky.
I'm Nilay Patel.
I am Josh Topolsky. No, it's not true. I'm Nilay Patel. We don't say the names at the end.
Oh.
I say you can.
So you know my name already.
You can come at me, bro.
How many seconds is 2 hours? This has been 8,000 seconds on the Verge.
Our inability to do math persists regardless of host. So that's been the Vergecast. You can talk to us on Twitter. You can send us.
Or you can join us in our Minecraft
never-
server, which everyone is asking me to plug right now.
I never
Vergecraft.
actually do this party. I never pay attention.
Reckless.
I'm at Reckless. Oh no, Roscoe
With no E.
with no E.
And I'm at Laughing Stoic.
What the hell, dude?
It's a nickname.
Laughing
Verge is
Stoic.
at Verge.
Verge is at Verge.
You can email us
You can email us
at podcast.
at podcast.
No, Vergecast at the Verge.
Oh my God, ultimate troll. You can email us at vergecast@theverge.com.
Probably podcast.
You can leave a comment. We used to have an 800 number or something, so just call one of those. Talk to them about the Vergecast.
Call every 800 number until you get to us.
We'll be back next week. I believe Josh will be back in this chair. I'll be back in my rightful position.
And I'll be sitting
He'll
on a
be,
couch.
he'll be
just
outside.
chilling.
I'll be
TC will
alone.
be in a ditch with his Evo 3D. And that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for yelling at me from across the world. Thank you. I love you. Rock and roll. Good night. Paul. No one's helping.